Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
That I have things in my background that I've talked about that are legitimate for people to discuss. They're behind me, and I've been trying to talk about ideas for the middle class and those struggling to make it, and people who've been on the campaign trail have watched how people have responded to that. This is not just about me. This is about this city and about the aspirations of people to make things better.
But this character issue, what do you
That's
think?
for citizens to decide. That's for everyone has to decide. Look, I know there are people who may well never conceive of voting for me because of the things that are in my past. I get that.
All right. Welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the Thursday edition. And again, a local mayor's race in New York City, as local as New York City could be, I guess, dominating the headlines around the country and maybe around the world to a certain extent, as Anthony Weiner, another day, more revelations. We are finding out about the woman that he was, communicating with, shall we say, Sydney Leathers. No truth that she's related to Laura Lace, as far as I know. Anyway, Sydney Leathers, we got pictures. There are now naked pictures of Anthony Weiner all over the internet, and they say more women are going to come forward. It is mind-boggling that this could continue without him going back under his rock. Joining us now to talk about this, and I want to let you know, folks, that although he is former White House counsel to Bill Clinton, and he is the author of a great book and a very relevant book to this matter, Crisis Tales: 5 Rules for Coping with Crisis in Business, Politics, and Life. I got a feeling this is a personalized story for Lanny Davis. Hey, Lanny, how are you, sir?
Thank you for that introduction, but it's not personal about something that I did, but it's...
well, that's what I mean. I didn't mean that, obviously.
I know. Look, just full disclosure, I have known Huma Abedin when she worked for the First Lady 15 years ago when I served in the White House. I know her. She's almost, to me, like a daughter. And I am preoccupied with her pain and how she's managing herself on this. So I'm really not going to be doing much crisis management advice to the congressman who I don't know that well. I'm happy to tell you what I think of Huma.
All right. Well, let's talk about her for a second. Here's what I don't understand, Lanny. Several months ago, we played a soundbite of Anthony Weiner talking to a guy on RNN, Dominic Carter, and it was a TV interview, and he said, and I just happened to find it, it was fairly obscure, nobody else picked up on it, and he said, he was asked, are there more women out there? Are more of these things going to surface? This is before he ever said he's running for anything. And he said, well, I can't say that there aren't. There might be, blah, 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 blah. So I played that, and I asked over and over and over again, and then again when the New York Times Magazine section thing came out, I said, wait a minute. All this guy's talking about, and all he's talking about in the magazine article is how he hurt his wife. He's apologized to his wife, his poor wife, his wife. Yet he says there might be more things out there. Well, then how could he ever run for public office? And I said the same thing when he announced, saying, wait a minute, he has warned us there's going to be more coming out. Why would he do this to his wife? And I'll ask you that question, and maybe a little in reverse. Why did his wife allow it to get to this point?
Well, my answer to both questions is the same, which is I'm not going to guess what's in somebody's mind. I'm only going to tell you what I know. A lot of other people are speculating about motives and sincerity and aspirations and ambitions. I don't do that. Don't do it on this occasion. Don't do it in political debate. So I stick to facts that I know, and I know Huma, and I know the pain that she's going through. I can see the pain that Anthony Weiner is going through. And my view here is that these are two people who are struggling to save a marriage, to save a family. She cares very much about both of those, and I take her and watched her in a very powerful way say she loves her husband, she forgives her husband, and that's good enough for her. Now, other people might not find that good enough for them. They are entitled, and it's ultimately a judgment of every voter in New York City who's voting for mayor whether it's good enough for them.
But don't you think that she's smart enough to know? First of all, her I love him, I respect him is almost verbatim from the Hillary Clinton couch interview with 60 Minutes back in '92. You can't really, I'm the Tammy Wynette interview, as it's been come to be known. You can't really blame people for being skeptical when she's so close to Hillary and follows the pattern of Hillary and almost the exact words of Hillary. You can't blame the people who are saying that this is politically motivated, as many believe Hillary sticking with Bill has been all these years. But again, I'll say, now we're going to have more women come out. Now we have naked pictures of them all over the internet. I don't understand. She had to know this 2 days ago. It just doesn't make sense. If he winds up dropping out, she looks foolish. She looks foolish now because more things have come out. It's been revealed that he was sexting as recently as 3 months ago. I don't get the whole thing. People are asking, and I think who don't know Huma, what kind of woman would want their son raised by this man? He's obviously sick in the head.
Well, first of all, you're entitled to every single opinion you just expressed, and every reaction you just expressed is entirely legitimate from your perspective. I would respectfully suggest to you I have a different perspective.
Yeah, well, give it to me. I'd love to hear it.
My perspective is when it comes to love relationships and what a woman or a man decides to do to save a marriage and to try to get through this kind of trauma is not for me to judge, because nobody can understand love or a relationship or what happens inside a marriage. And for the same reasons, I do not speculate that people have motives other than sincere. If there's a fact that leads me to show insincerity, then I want to know what the fact is. If it's speculation, connecting dots because other people said the same thing in a similar circumstance, you're entitled to speculate, and so is everyone else. That is not what I do. I happen to know Huma very well. I happen to strongly believe, based on my direct knowledge, that this is an authentic, sincere, heartfelt statement by her with no motivations, no copycat thoughts other than she is speaking from the heart. That is my opinion.
All right, we're talking to Lanny Davis, who is a very close friend, maybe a mentor of sorts, to Huma Abedin, the wife of Anthony Weiner. All right, let me ask you what you believe here. Do you believe, as Gerald Nadler has said, that I think he should pull out of the race? I think he needs serious psychiatric help. Do you believe that Anthony Weiner is a sick man?
Well, first of all, I think it's a little bit exaggerated to call me a mentor, but I do consider myself a friend, and I think of her like a daughter.
Okay.
That's the way I put it. But I'm not quarreling that she may, think of me as a mentor to compliment if she does. Jerry Nadler is a great man. He does something that I wouldn't do, never have done, but that's because we're different. Doesn't make him wrong. I never tell somebody to drop out of a race. I let the voters decide that. I remember Hillary Clinton being criticized for not dropping out of the race after she won 17 straight primaries or whatever the number was in every major state of the country. Why doesn't she drop out? Why doesn't she drop out? Why doesn't she drop out? I said the same thing then that I would say to Mr. Weiner today. That's your decision. The voters will ultimately render the verdict. If you lose miserably because you didn't drop out, you've made that decision. I'm not going to tell them what to do.
But doesn't it hurt Huma? I mean, and there's a story today that Huma considered leaving Weiner last fall. She admitted to all the therapy. What I don't understand is, we got more and more revelations coming out every day. How does she?
You're not going to get a different answer than the last time you asked me the same question, which was 2 minutes ago. I'm not going to second guess what somebody is doing out of their heartfelt desire based upon her feelings of love inside a marriage, to hold the marriage together despite this trauma and concern about her son. I don't second guess that type of a decision. It may not be one that I either understand or would do myself, but I don't second guess it. I accept it, and I don't expect you or anyone else to feel the way I do, but that's me.
Are you surprised that the latest poll out today shows that he has dropped significantly from the previous poll numbers? He's now behind Christine Quinn by about 5-6 points?
Well, if it's only 5 or 6 points, it's nothing short of incredible. If it were down to 0, it wouldn't surprise me, given the couple of bad days of publicity he's had. Have you noticed the headlines recently? I'll tell you one thing, if I'm allowed to go beyond my internal ban on saying anything other than my concern about Huma. And
wait, that's a self-imposed ban. Go ahead.
It is. Thank you. I'll give you one little political comment that is a generic one. There is a historic pattern that the American people actually react against piling on by the media and by other politicians when someone's going through this kind of personal tragedy. I'm not saying it will happen here, and I'm not saying it's the general rule, but there certainly is a pattern where it happens. And it is just possible that this misery that he's brought on himself, no doubt, that Anthony Weiner is going through, that at some point people will turn and say, now what kind of job is he really going to do as mayor? I'm going to forgive him. I don't know if that's going to happen. I know in history it has happened.
Would you like to see it happen?
I'm not a New Yorker. I only care about Huma. I worry about the effect on her.
All right, well, for her sake, do you think, and knowing her as you do you think it's better that he wins or that he drops out? Well, for her.
I think from her sake it's better that he wins and that people respect her love for him and her request that people forgive him. So, of course, I'm hoping that it turns out well for Huma.
All right.
If not, I'll be there for her one way or the other.
Lanny, thank you very much for sharing these personal thoughts with us. I really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. That's Lanny Davis, ladies and gentlemen. I always want to say Lanny McDonald, the former NHL star. I don't know why, because I don't know any other Lannys. Lanny Davis, former chief counsel to Bill Clinton, of course, very close with the Clintons, and apparently very close with Huma Abedin, the wife of Anthony Weiner. When we come back, we're going to tell you all about a girl named Sydney Leathers. A girl that Anthony Weiner knows oh so well, but maybe not well enough or enough as he wanted to know her. When the Steve Malzberg Show continues. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
The woman at the center of the latest Anthony Weiner sexting scandal is Sydney Leathers, who also identifies herself online as Sydney Elaine XO. We don't know much about her, but we do know she's very comfortable in her own skin. These are just some of the pictures she posted of herself on Twitter that have since been removed, showing off her new tattoo, or new ink as she tweeted, and modeling her new bathing suit. With this lounge photo, she confidently tweeted, "I'd marry my legs if I could." She also posted this seductive picture, tweeting, "All that I am, big lips, good makeup, long hair, boobs, and tattoos."
The Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why it never hurts to say my name again. Okay, that's Randy K, CNN, doing a story on Sydney Leathers, who, as it turns out now, is one of at least 3 women that this sicko, Anthony Weiner, has had an online affair with since he resigned from Congress. He said that he's had this online chats with a total of 6 to 10 women, no more than 3 of them happening after he resigned from Congress over a similar conduct. And I'll tell you, if you could see this woman, if you're watching at Newsmax.com, and from listening to her tweets, she and Anthony are one and the same. They're both narcissists, in my view. Let's get a little more information from Randy K. Cut number 11. All right.
So how did she meet Anthony Weiner? Lou Cola Giovanni is a friend of Leathers.
She initially contacted him through Twitter. She was a fan. She said that she was a fan. I assume that based on how beautiful of a young lady that Sydney is, Anthony Weiner had no choice but to act on his instincts. Sydney loved him, but then she fell out of love with him because the idealized vision in which she had of him was not true and not the case.
Cola Giovanni says the conversations quickly turned from politics to sex. This was the result. Dozens and dozens of sexually explicit text messages and photographs, including images of his anatomy that are simply too explicit to show here.
Thank God. This is all after he quit Congress. Let's go to cut number 12.
Their online relationship continued for quite a while.
It's been reported in some outlets that this may have been going on for 6 months. I think it's more accurate to say it's been going on for 8 or 9, maybe even possibly a year.
We came here to Princeton, Indiana, hoping to talk with Sydney Leathers about her communication and relationship with Anthony Weiner. This is where a friend of hers, who asked not to be identified, told me she lived with her father. Nobody answered the door when we went inside. That same friend also told me that Sydney Leathers never mentioned Anthony Weiner by name, but did say she had met a lot of people with strong political contacts online. Politics was her passion.
Okay, and here's politics was her passion. She is a left-wing loon. Here's cut number 13.
The friend says she and Leathers worked together for a few months at a tanning salon, until she says Leathers quit last summer to work for the Obama campaign. Online, Sydney Leathers has identified herself as a field organizer for the Obama campaign. On the website change.org, we found Sydney Leathers' profile. The petitions she signed say a lot about her passions and her politics. It seems long before Sydney Leathers first communicated with Anthony Weiner, she had her eye on him. One of her websites that's since been removed listed him as one of her heroes, along with President Obama, Jon Stewart, and Charlie Sheen. And in June 2011, she posted this: Anthony Weiner can continue sending expletive pics every single day for the rest of his life, as long as he continues to legislate like he does.
Okay, and then they talk about how Anthony Weiner wanted her to wipe all of her communications with him. So it's look, Anthony Weiner, I think we've established, in my opinion, is sick. He's sick. People are predicting that he'll drop out of the race any day now. I mean, how much more of this could come out? How much more of this, I ask, can come out, ladies and gentlemen? And I can't. I'm trying to get you the ba-dum-bum, but I can't do it for some reason. All right. Anyway, when we come back, I hope we're going to speak with one of a man I admire so much, the great columnist Nat Hentoff, who will be making his debut on this incarnation of the Steve Malzberg Show. I used to speak to him every other week at my WOR radio show. So hopefully he'll be around to talk with us about his feelings on Obama, Obamacare, the Constitution, on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts. And some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to welcome back an old friend to the Steve Malzberg Show. His first time on this new show, the Newsmax Show. He has been a fixture, a syndicated columnist. Before that, had a whole nother life in music and writing music and writing about music. But and at one point, you might have called him way to the left. But Nat Hentoff has come around in many ways in his views, and I think spurred and sparked on by the behavior and the elections of Barack Obama. But I don't want to put words in his mouth. Nat Hentoff, syndicated columnist, so good to say hello to you again, my friend.
Well, you just reminded me that in his second month of his first term, I headlined one of my syndicated columns with Obama is going to be the most dangerous president and the most destructive one we've ever had. And I think I understated that case a little.
Probably. How are you? How's your health? How's your lovely wife? How's everything?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm 88, and I have certain time-consuming visits outside of my work, but it's the work that keeps me going. I mean, Duke Ellington once said, never retire, because then he said, retire to what?
Well, I think Barack Obama has provided a lot of ammunition for that work. Tell me, you wrote a great column. You've written several great columns that I've been meaning to get you on for some time. But you wrote one about Revelations for a Revolution, talking about the Declaration of Independence and what you believe Barack Obama has been doing to our Constitution.
Well, look, there's a front-page story in the New York Times today, which you may have seen, which tells of an Obama victory, but that victory has in it some hope that he won't be continuing in all respects to bring us closer to a police state. There was legislation, including both liberals, so-called, I think they were mainly libertarians, among Republicans and Democrats, that would end the National Security Agency from this mass spying on us, collecting all those telephone calls, etc. But that one lost by a vote of 217 to 205. But the story went on to say that this collection of Republicans and Democrats, they're not going to give up. And I think that's true of a good many of them. Ron Wyden, for example, or Ed Lamb, the Lamb who listened to Ron Paul. I mean, Rand Paul is another one, but there are a number of them. What bothers me, however, is when this first happened, I felt a great feeling about something that nobody has mentioned about all of this furor. You know, it was James Madison who was worried at the beginning about all these political parties being more interested in beating one another than in the Constitution, but it's the First Amendment that keeps us going, and that is Edward Snowden, one man with the invaluable help of the reporter who used to be a constitutional lawyer, what's his name, who's now with The Guardian, brought that story. And if it hadn't been for that, I think there wouldn't have been this, what appeared to be a real change in Congress and a good many Americans coming along. And at one point, Snowden, who is now still mired in the airport in Russia with a long time to go before he gets free, Snowden said at one point, the U.S. government is not going to be able to cover this up by jailing or murdering me. Truth is coming, and it can't be stopped. You know, for a couple of moments, I thought he may have had something. But something came out pretty recently, along with all of the furor in that legislation I was talking about. One poll has a headline, this is the Huffington Post, Americans now think he did about Snowden. Americans now think he did the wrong thing. And that change of view is mirrored in a poll by NBC and Wall Street Journal. Most Americans view Snowden negatively.
Well, what do you think, Nat? I mean, you can't just take it upon yourself to reveal these things. You could go to Congress and try. You could contact.
No, the thing is, these people are going to try. But I remember vividly. You remember Frank Church?
Sure.
Now, how many Americans know Frank Church?
Nobody.
He broke open the fact that the good old National Security Agency was already doing a lot of this stuff, and Church got very, very vehement about it. He said, he warned Americans, you'll never have to worry about this if you keep on this, because otherwise, if the NSA keeps going this way, you won't have any place to hide. So, as you just and I just indicated, how many Americans even remember Frank Church? I'm not so sure in this age when so-called news and news analysis keeps flooding us that what appears to be an awakening, it will continue with some in Congress, it will continue with a lot of people in the citizenry, but how is it going to be kept up? And the other thing is, once Obama leaves, and I can't wait, what he's left behind does not necessarily go with him. A lot depends on who's going to be the next president, who's going to be in the administration, and will the Rogers Supreme Court continue?
That's what I was going to say. What about who's going to be on the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you first of all about something that he also was probably going to leave behind, and that is health care. You just wrote a piece the other day, TimesHerald.com article about the Obamacare. And I mean, look, God forbid, Nat, I mean, God bless you, and I love you, and I've loved you for a lot of years, and you know that. But, God forbid you needed some kind of major surgery, and this was a couple of years hence when Obamacare was in full effect. You know and I know you would have a hell of a time getting that major surgery.
Well, I don't think many Americans know that part of what Obamacare involves is a special tax that has been imposed, and it went into effect quite recently, on manufacturers of medical devices.
Yep.
They're the startup companies that come up with... So it saved my life when I was 69 years old. I'm 88 now. My doctor told me, your life is hanging by a thread. I had to have open-heart surgery. And as I was preparing for that, he and other doctors said, you're very lucky, because some years ago we wouldn't know how to do this. Now already the medical device manufacturers have been calming down on what they do, and now with this added tax, how many Americans know who see what Obama wants them to see, all these advantages of Obamacare, that the kind of medical advances that have kept so many of us alive, and this is not only the elderly, are going to disappear.
Yeah, no, you know what? We live in a culture where we would do anything to keep our parents alive as long as possible, to keep
us alive,
and keep ourselves alive. And if a child is born with a handicap or disabled, to do everything we can for that. The whole culture is about to change, as evidenced by what socialized medicine has wrought in Canada and Great Britain. And even when he was running for president, Obama said we have to have a national conversation about that kind of.
He's been going toward this for a long time. That's what Obama's care is meant to eventually result in. But where are the politicians who are liberals or libertarians? Even they don't much get into this.
Yeah, it's very scary. So going forward, what's your biggest concern? I mean, you look at the scandals, the IRS, the Benghazi. You look at the State Department cover-up of scandals that have taken place. And it looks like Hillary's the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. Are we going to get another massive media cover-up of who Hillary really is? Or are they going to just present her as this most qualified person on the face of the earth?
Well, I'll tell you, the media, I mean, it was Madison who said, and Jefferson, we got to have an informed voting people. But the media has fallen down on that very badly, with very few exceptions.
Now, Madison didn't say this to you, did he?
Well, I hope to meet him one day. Although I'm an atheist, and I don't think I...
Only kidding.
But the thing is, the one long-term hope I have, and it sounds made of thin paper, there is a movement in education that you never hear of when you talk about reform. There are increasingly classes and teachers who want to create that informed voting public. And these are kids who not only learn American history, that's rare these days, civics, but they begin to be participants not only in what's going on in their schools, they get involved in local politics, they have class discussions. I'm sure some are going on now about Obamacare and about what's happening to the Constitution under Obama. If we have enough of a resistance to last a while, if we have more of those citizens coming out of the schools, and I know this sounds like pie in the sky, but that's the one thing that gives me some hope. I've talked to some of those kids. They really, when I was able to travel a lot, I have arthritis now. I was in schools around the country, from elementary schools through graduate schools, and even fourth graders would get excited when I just told them stories, how we got a Fourth Amendment, how we got a Fifth Amendment, how we got due process, and how we almost lost it here and there. They got so excited because they discovered America. This is still possible. But who talks about that when they're talking about, oh, we got to have more testing, more of this. But if there's more of that going on, if we have a hope of staying around a while as the remnants of a free society, that may be a factor. I keep mentioning this because that makes real sense, and it's actually happening.
Well, Nat, we will end it on that high note, and I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you'll consent to talk to us again in a few weeks. And thank you very much. God bless you, sir. It's always great to talk to you.
Well, thank you for giving me a chance to use the First Amendment.
You're welcome. The great Nat Hentoff, ladies and gentlemen. You could find him online and read his columns. They appear all over the place. Syndicated for years and years. Used to be a fixture at the Village Voice here in New York City. Was, in my opinion, at one point a liberal. But I got to tell you, since I've been talking to him, I think the transformation certainly was Barack Obama. I mean, here's a man who's not afraid to say what he believes, not afraid to say that, as a libertarian, as he describes himself, he believes in the Constitution. He believes in our freedoms. He believes in limited government. And what he sees happening, and this is the first time I've talked to him in over 2 years, but what he sees happening and what he has seen happening, as he mentioned, I think a month or two or three into Obama's term, he wrote a piece very critical of Barack Obama. And I admire him for having the guts to stand up and say what he feels. And God bless him at 88 years old. 88 years old. And it's just a testament to the fact, as he states, that it's his work that keeps him going. And, poo-poo on retirement. And some people differ with that. Some people who are financially able to, and maybe Nat is financially able to retire, but just doesn't want to, because this is his passion. This is what he does. And this is what this is what keeps him going. And more power to him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, interesting poll. And let me ask you a question, too. The royal baby. Ever since we knew that the royal baby had been conceived, it was the royal baby. By the same media that will call it a fetus until the day it's born. Okay? Little hypocrisy 101 there. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the latest poll on the laws passed by states like Texas on limiting abortions or eliminating abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. You might be surprised because the media would have you believe that's archaic and everybody hates it, and you got to be a caveman to support that. They're lying to you again on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Mauskop. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Mauskop's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, you know, we should have come out of this segment with having my baby, little Paul Anka. Paul Anka, point of contention in this newsroom. I won't tell you why. Anyway, but interesting piece written at theatlantic.com by Owen Strachan. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Talking about how the American media has referred since day one to the royal baby as the royal baby, even when that baby was still in the womb inside the woman's body. In this case, the Duchess, of course. It's strange because, as he writes, though for outlets like it's strange, though he writes, for the it's not strange for the average person to refer to a baby that they're going to have as we're having a baby. They don't say I have a fetus. I'm having a baby. But he writes, it's strange though for outlets like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Boston Globe, which purport to be neutral on the issue of pro-life and pro-choice. Okay. To use this seemingly explosive phrase without so much as a qualification. And why is this strange? Because it codes a pro-life position into their description of the unborn child. Now, the New York Times, during the Gosnell murder trial, even in the aftermath of the verdict where this murderous abortion doctor was found guilty of murdering babies, the New York Times said he murdered fetuses. Fetuses! Even babies born to them were fetuses. But yet the New York Times and the others have called the royal baby the royal baby. But how could that be? To the New York Times and the libs and the left and these anchorettes on TV that I'm sure are as pro-abortion as could be, if only they could have pom-poms, this is a fetus. It's an unborn baby. In fact, I asked this. When did I ask this? I asked this back when Princess Di, I don't remember now, it couldn't have been 20 years ago. I asked this a long time ago, okay? How would the media react, the same media that it's a woman's right to choose, Melissa Harris Perry who calls something that represents a fetus on a model this thing, how would those same media react if the royal baby had been aborted? It's just, of course, it wouldn't happen. It's hypothetical. I'm not talking about anything that this couple would have done. I'm just saying, let's work on the premise that, I don't know, as a sign of revolt, to show that women can still choose and it's their body. The royal couple decided, or the princess decided, that she was going to abort that baby. Now, how would the press react? Outrage, disgust. You think they'd say, well, it's her body. It's her right to choose. And what if she did it in a late term? And what if she did it because she didn't want to have the baby? She wasn't ready to have the baby. I guess the media, if they were consistent, would have to say, you go, girl. But they wouldn't do that. You know it and I know it. And let me tell you, when you hear these phonies, and this should be a lesson to Republicans, listen to this. 44% of respondents to the NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. Aha. Not some far right wingers. 44% of respondents say they support banning abortions after 20 weeks or more after fertilization. Only 37% said they opposed it. That's pretty consistent with the radical left in this country. Usually it's 30%, maybe 28%. But we're a pro-choice country. The Republicans are in a war with women. This is a war against women. Texas and this state and that state, 20 weeks. It's a woman's body. 44% approve, 37% disapprove. We have turned into a pro-life country because we could see the sonograms. We could see the little baby. We could see the little hands and the little feet and the little face. Stop running away from this issue, Republicans. Stop it. Don't concede this issue. Talk about how radical Obama and the Democratic platform is when it comes to right to life, and how they favor abortion on demand up to the end of the pregnancy on the premise that it's a woman's body. That's not what America thinks. It's not what America feels, and it's not what women think or feel. And if the Republicans continue to concede this issue, a pox on their house. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm Kathleen Walter. Attorney General Eric Holder today announced the Department of Justice is opening a new front in the voting rights battle after the Supreme Court recently struck down the Voting Rights Act. In a speech before the Urban League in Philadelphia, the Attorney General said the Justice Department is asking a federal court in San Antonio to require the state of Texas to obtain approval in advance before putting future voting changes in place.
Today, I am announcing that the Justice Department will ask a federal court in Texas to subject the state of Texas to a pre-clearance regime similar to the one required by Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act.
It is expected that justice will also target North Carolina, where the state Senate last night passed legislation requiring voter ID at polling places and cut some early voting days. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell taking to the Senate floor this morning to lambaste President Obama for his economic speech on Wednesday. In a lengthy hour-long address, the president laid out his long-term economic vision for the nation. Republicans today are blasting the speech, claiming it's just more of the big government tax and spend policies that have failed to work.
It restores transparency to the election process, creates clear guidelines that everyone can understand, follow.
Pundits say the president's speech was a setup to the anticipated budget showdown this fall, when the House is expected to clash with the White House and the Democratic-led Senate over raising the U.S. borrowing authority. Two separate official investigations have been launched into the cause of Wednesday's deadly train derailment in Spain. Now considered one of Europe's worst rail disasters, the tragedy was caught on video. At least 78 people died and 140 others were hurt when the train leapt off the tracks at high speed and derailed in the northern Spanish region of Galicia. Pope Francis continues his first trip home to his native Latin America since becoming Pope. As many as 1 million young Roman Catholics gathered to hear the pontiff celebrate Mass in Rio de Janeiro's Copacabana beach Thursday. 4 Brazilian Navy ships guarded the beach where the service was held. The Pope's visit coincides with week-long events celebrating World Youth Day. Next on Newsmax Now, as Democrats claim Republicans wage war on women, one lawmaker is calling on Democrats to rebuke Anthony Weiner, her stern condemnation of the New York City mayoral candidate, in a Newsmax exclusive next. And former President George W. Bush's show of solidarity, why he made the bold move of going bald. That story coming up.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Welcome back. In a Newsmax exclusive, Representative Diane Black, Republican from Tennessee, says Democrats should condemn the behavior of New York City mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner.
I believe that behavior should be condemned. And we condemn it when it happens on our side of the aisle. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. When you put your name on the ballot and you're a public official, you're held to a high standard.
And finally, former President George H.W. Bush, who has been known in recent months for his creative socks, is now sporting a new hairdo. President Bush, who is 89, shaved his head in a show of solidarity with a 2-year-old boy who lost his hair from leukemia treatments. And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for Thursday, July 25th. I'm Kathleen Walter. Now, here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
That's what we've been fighting for. But with this endless parade of distractions and political posturing and phony scandals, Washington's taken its eye off the ball. And I'm here to say this needs to stop. This needs to stop.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax
Ladies and gentlemen,
the
President of the United States speaking yesterday for an hour and 6 minutes. I guess, I don't know, I think it was all of his campaign speeches merged together, talking about the economy, talking about Congress, talking about a possible government shutdown, talking about Obamacare, and the evil Republicans, of course, demagoguing and separating like a good community organizer, Saul Alinsky follower would do. Joining us now is Congressman Marsha Blackburn, 7th CD, Tennessee. Hello, Congressman.
Hello, and how are you?
I'm doing fine, because I didn't have to.
Awesome.
I didn't have to watch the whole 1 hour and 6 minutes. I'd probably still be asleep if that were the case.
Well, I think that you probably most likely would have fallen asleep, or maybe your attention would have been diverted, or maybe you would have picked up a good economics book to read because you realize this president obviously does not understand the economy.
Okay, so what did he say that really got under your skin, or that set off a little red light in your head?
Well, he continues to talk about we need government investment, but you notice he doesn't talk about growth in the economy because he doesn't understand what gives you that growth. What he wants and continues to talk about is government going in and investing, government stimulating, and it doesn't work. I mean, my goodness, we're 5 years into this. We are at 7.6% unemployment. The U6 number is at 14.3%. And instead of looking for another job, you had a lot of 60-year-olds that lost their job, and now they're just going ahead and they're retiring.
Yeah, no.
And people are just so frustrated, Steve. And they're sitting out there. They continue to look around them and they say, where'd all the jobs go? What's happened? Why aren't the jobs coming back?
Right.
Because what the president says and what's happening in the country don't match up.
Absolutely. He also, Congressman, talks about manufactured scandals. And we have gotten so much more information, especially on the IRS scandal, on Benghazi, where we now find out that people have been made to sign sworn statements that they'll clam up and not talk about Benghazi. These are survivors. We still haven't gotten anywhere with the whole Justice Department looking into the media and the James Rosen thing. So, the media is trying to do their best to say these things are over and done with, but especially on the IRS front, there's more information now than ever that shows this goes way, way up.
Yes, you're exactly right. The IRS scandal is just beginning to unfold. The DOJ scandal with snooping on some of the reporters, those investigations are just getting underway. At Energy and Commerce Committee, our investigative work of the EPA finally admitting that, yes, they were politically targeting people, that HHS out here trying to raise money to stand up Obamacare. We're just beginning our investigations of those issues.
All right, let me ask you, Congressman. Congressman. There has been great disappointment. I first discovered this over a week ago. I spoke to Congressman Garrett, Scott Garrett, who happens to be my congressman in Jersey, and he said that the leadership just does not have the stomach or any plans to defund Obamacare in the House because it could lead to a shutdown of the government and a fight that they don't want to take on at this point. And people have been asking, and I've been asking for months and months, and maybe even a year, hey, when are the Republicans going to stop? It's nice that you guys always vote to do away with Obamacare. Excuse me, but you have the purse strings to fund part or all of it. And when will that happen? And now I'm hearing from the Senate, one or two senators, Senator Lee and a couple of others, saying we need to take on this fight. But I've heard nothing from the House that this is something they plan to do.
Well, we do plan to do it, and I have a bill that would delay for one full year the implementation of Obamacare. Now, what some people do not understand is that in order to defund it, you have to first delay it. That because the continuing resolution that we're operating under predates Obamacare. And what the administration is doing is reprogramming money that is in that continuing resolution to stand up Obamacare. So H.R. 2809 is my bill that would delay all programs and all taxes for one full year. And then once we pass that, then we can come back and we can defund or disallow the administration the right to reprogram any of that money. They won't need it because the program's been delayed.
But, Congressman, that's never going to pass. That might pass the House, but it's never going to be signed into law, so it's never going to be delayed. The way this program continues to crash, even the president has said his employer mandate is not workable. And, I think the Senate will end up taking that up. And I do think that you could see that actually become law. And you have to be able to push something. We can pass that in the House. We can send it to the Senate to delay it for a full year after we've passed it in the House. We have a solid footing to stand on to delay to eliminate any reprogramming of that money from being used for Obamacare. They don't need it. The program's not going to be stood up for another year, so you have every right in the world to block that money. Okay, now let me ask you about one other thing here. There's a poll out. It's an NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, so we know it's got to be right. And it says that a plurality of Americans support what they're doing in Texas and doing in states around the country, and that is restricting abortions after 20 weeks. That shows that 44% of respondents say they support that. 37% oppose it. Again, this is a winning issue for Republicans on a national level, too, to fight for and to speak about, as opposed to, as McCain and Romney did, run away from.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's when you look at women, it's about an 80% issue with women. Once a child feels pain, once you get to that 20-week mark where you have children that are in our NICUs, babies that can survive outside the womb, people want to see abortions eliminated for those children. So that is why we passed the bill in the House. We did it with bipartisan support. I think that you will see additional support for that as the bill moves over to the Senate, and my hope is the Senate will take it up.
Yeah, well, I would hope as well, certainly. All right.
Steve, the thing is, the Senate will respond to pressure from constituents. They have in the past, and I think this is another of those issues where it is constituent pressure that will get something done on it.
Well, I hope you're right, and my thing is, what I can't understand as a layman, why the Congress can't just say, why the House can't just say, for instance, we're not funding the money for the IRS agents to participate in Obamacare, and then let the chips fall where they may. Let the president veto the whole budget.
That's what we do. We do through the appropriations bills. We run amendments that would disallow that. We continue to do that. We do those defunding amendments every single year. And the problem is we do not pass a budget. The budget doesn't get passed, so therefore the appropriations end up not getting done, and we end up with a continuing resolution.
Right. No,
so
good point.
That
good
is
point.
why you want to go through and delay a program and then come back around and disallow the reprogramming of money within that continuing resolution for standing up a program.
Okay. Congressman, thank you. Great to talk to you.
Absolutely. Good talking to you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Congressman Marsha Blackburn, ladies and gentlemen, Republican 7th CD, great state of Tennessee, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C.-based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Peter Hoekstra, also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
breaking news and breaking hearts. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, by the way, Sydney Leathers, who we documented, is one of the women. She's speaking out to Inside Edition. And Sydney Leathers says she's disgusted by Anthony Weiner. She's disgusted by Anthony Weiner. Here's a woman who tweets, "Here I am, my breasts, my lips, my hair. If I could, I'd marry my legs." It sounds like there's a little bit of sounds like there's a little bit of Anthony Weiner in. I shouldn't. You see? Come on, come on. I mean, it sounds like there's a similarity between Anthony Weiner and what's her name? Leather. What is her name? I forget already. A little bit of Weiner in leather. Weiner in leather. That's possible too. There might be some pictures out there, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so she finds him disgusting. I just find that hard to. But Sydney Leather. Thank you. Leathers. Sydney Leathers. Okay. Okay. This is to me quite shocking, but I need you to hear the whole thing. I need you to hear the whole thing. The only minority on the all-female Zimmerman jury has spoken out. She's going to speak out some more. It's going to be on World News Tonight on ABC News. And she says that George Zimmerman, quote, got away with murder, end quote, for killing Trayvon Martin. And she feels she owes an apology to Martin's parents. See, this is the problem. This is the problem. She doesn't owe an apology to Martin's parents because I'll let you hear what else she had to say. Quote, "You can't put the male in jail even though in our hearts we felt he was guilty." Guilty of what? Guilty of what? Guilty of what? They gave you murder. 2, they gave you manslaughter. What was he guilty of? If you felt he was guilty of it, then you vote guilty. So let me finish here. She was identified as juror B29 during the trial. Quote, "We had to grab our hearts and put it aside and look at the evidence." Well, welcome to the criminal justice system. That's how it's supposed to operate. You don't owe anyone an apology. She said the jury was following Florida law and the evidence, and she said the evidence did not prove murder. So again, she calls him a murderer, but the evidence didn't show it. This is what she believes, I guess. The court had sealed the jurors' identities during the trial, but juror B29 came out of the shadow. She did an exclusive interview on GMA this morning and with Robin Roberts. She allowed her face to be shown, but not her name. She went by the first name of Maddie on television. A nursing assistant, mother of 8 children, selected as a juror 5 months after she had moved to Seminole County, Florida from Chicago. All 6 of the jurors were women. Maddie's 36. She's Puerto Rican. She was the only minority to deliberate with the case. Despite the prosecution's claim that Zimmerman profiled Martin because he was black, Maddie said, I want you to hear this. See, this headline is so, and what she said is a headline grabber, and it's a headline, but listen to what else she said. While she says he got away with murder, she also said, all you race baiters out there, and you know who you are, she also said the case was never about race to her. It was never about race. George Zimmerman got away with murder, but you can't get away from God. And at the end of the day, he's going to have a lot of questions and answers he has to deal with. But the law couldn't prove it. Okay? Let's see. I was a juror that was going to give them the hung jury. I fought to the end. However, on the second day of deliberations, after spending 9 hours discussing the evidence, Maddie said she realized there wasn't enough proof to convict Zimmerman of murder or manslaughter under Florida law. Okay? That's where I felt confused, where if a person kills someone, then you get charged for it. But as the law was, I don't even know what that means. If a person kills someone, then you get charged for it? he was charged for it, I guess. But what does that mean? You mean then you convict him of it? I don't even understand what that means. But as the law was read to me, if you have no proof that he killed him intentionally, you can't say he's guilty. Dare I say, duh? When asked by Robin Roberts whether this case should have gone to trial, listen, you race baiters, listen. She said, I don't think so. I felt like this was a publicity stunt. The whole court service thing to me was publicity. I'm not sure what that means either. I felt like I let a lot of people down. I'm thinking to myself, did I go the right way? Did I go the wrong way? As much as we were trying to find this man guilty, they give you a booklet that basically tells you the truth, whatever that means. You mean instructions? And the truth is that there was nothing that we could do about it. I feel the verdict was already told. Maddie said she had sympathy for Martin's parents. She said she believes she owes Trayvon's Martin parents an apology. It's hard for me to sleep. It's hard for me to eat because I feel I was forcefully included in Trayvon Martin's death. And as I carry him on my back, I'm hurting as much as Trayvon's mother because there's no way that any mother should feel that pain. What does that mean? She's carrying Trayvon Martin on her back because she rightfully, under the law, found a man not guilty? I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. But to me, the headline that comes out of this, two headlines. You could think what you want. She thinks he murdered him. I don't even know what that means. But there was no evidence. So she thinks, but according to the evidence, he did not. And number two, it was not racial. Okay? It was not racial. And it wasn't Rachel either. Actually, it was Rachel Gentile, right? But it wasn't Rachel Gentile, and the shooting and the following and the calling the police and the whole thing was not racial, according to this juror who thinks he's a murderer. All right, you race baiters, does this matter? Is CNN going to tell this story? Is MSNBC going to include that quote? Never, because it won't help their agenda of, racial divisiveness throughout America. All right, folks, when we come back, black crime. We're going to talk to Heather McDonald of the Manhattan Institute on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S. specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. In the previous segment, we talked about what juror number B29 had to say about the Zimmerman case. She thought that George Zimmerman got away with murder, but she also said there was no evidence to indicate that it was murder. And she also said that race never entered into it for her. This was the minority, the one minority juror on the jury. They identify her here in this ABC News story as Puerto Rican. I've heard, white Hispanic, half black, half Hispanic. I don't know, but not white Hispanic. But anyway, joining us now to talk about the tidal wave of misinformation that's been presented is Heather McDonald, contributing editor at City Journal, the Manhattan Institute. Hello, Heather. How are you? I'll say take two. Hi, Heather. How are you?
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Good, thank you.
Good to talk to you. Okay, so let's talk about, here's another person who was right in the middle of all this, another juror who said that this race had nothing to do with this verdict whatsoever. And, of course, that coincides with what the one of the white jurors who spoke out first, to Anderson Cooper, also said that race had nothing to do with it. Are you surprised by the direction that this whole post-verdict coverage and theme has developed?
Which direction are you talking about?
Well, as far as it's all about race, and it's Emmett Till, and it's apartheid state in Florida, and boycott Florida, and we need a civil rights case against him, and Holder saying I'm troubled by the verdict, and Obama's race speech. I mean, did you ever think that that a case that was going so poorly for the prosecution, once it came to fruition, would ignite what has been ignited?
Well, it's certainly not surprising, because that was how this case has been played from the start, that this is somehow emblematic of how blacks die, are shot in this country, that this honorary white, George Zimmerman, who's Hispanic, is somehow stands in for this massive white threat to blacks, which is just not borne out factually. In fact, the major threat, the reason that young black males have a 10 times higher rate of dying by homicide than whites and Hispanics combined is they're shot by other blacks. So this is part and parcel of the way this has been spun from the very start.
No, absolutely. And before we get to more statistics here on a black on black crime, but when Barack Obama says that blacks are aware of the violence and crime rate, he also acknowledged in that race speech that Trayvon was more likely statistically to be shot by a peer than by George Zimmerman. But he also, kind of blamed the violence in the black community, the dysfunction in the black community, the crime rate in the black community, to a history of violence in this country. And I'm still not sure if he's talking about Jim Crow, if he's talking about slavery, or just what he's talking about.
Yeah, and he really acknowledged the higher crime rate, astronomically higher crime rate, but qualified it. He said, well, it is probably statistically more likely that Trayvon Martin would have been shot by, and he just euphemistically, another black rather than somebody else. So he didn't really even have the courage to outright state what the facts are. And as far as blaming history, I think that's just a complete dodge. It's absurd. That does not help the black community to say, oh, this is ultimately all about racism. And I know plenty of people in the inner city who are fiercely law-abiding that have no tolerance for that kind of excuse-making, because they understand that what determines why somebody decides to take up a gang lifestyle is family breakdown, lack of a proper upbringing today, that is not related to whether there were racist lynchings 100 years ago.
We're talking to Heather McDonald, a contributing editor to City Journal, also with Manhattan Institute, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And I saw you on I believe it was O'Reilly last night. Did a great job, and I think you followed a taped, on the run, if you will, interview with Charles Rangel, and Rangel poo-pooed the statistic. I think it was Daniel Patrick Moynihan who wrote a book about the black family and the breakdown of the black family, and at that point it was maybe 15-25% of out-of-wedlock births and kids growing up without fathers, and now it's, I think, 70 or 75%. And Rangel was kind of asked about that as a reason for black crime and black on black crime and black crime in general, and he kind of made a joke about it of some sort, and I just was bothered by that.
Yeah, I think this incident has really been one of these depressing but clarifying moments about the extent of denial out there, both in kind of the liberal elite culture and then at least among these official black spokesmen, to the cultural breakdown. And the instinct is to blame it on, it's all because of, as Rangel was doing, it's because of simply poverty or economic conditions. But poverty is created in this country overwhelmingly by people having children out of wedlock. That's the greatest determinant of whether a child grows up poor today. So it is very depressing to see somebody with Rangel's history, not that he's got a great record on speaking honestly about social problems, but that he should treat it dismissively, as you say, because there is nothing more important today for all of America than family breakdown, and it's worst in the black community. It's very bad in Hispanics. It's 53% illegitimacy rate among Hispanics, and it's about 22% among whites. But if whites ever catch up to the Hispanic or black rate, we'll see the exact same problems. It's not a race issue; it's a family breakdown issue.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree with you more. And the media coverage and the media frenzy that's followed, again, this profiling nonsense and And again, as you heard me say, the classified by ABC as a Puerto Rican woman on the jury, even though she thought George Zimmerman did murder Trayvon Martin, she said there was no evidence to convict him. But she also said, no, race had nothing to do with this. But that to somehow make into villains people, I guess, like Jesse Jackson, who years and years ago admitted that when he walks down a street and hears voices of young men behind him, he turns around on a deserted street. He's relieved to see that they're white. I guess he profiles. But to insinuate that if someone understands that blacks, a small percentage of the population to begin with, and if you cut away children and elderly, a very small percentage of blacks are committing a huge percentage of the murders and homicides and rapes and violent crimes in this country, anybody would be nuts not to be aware of that when they're thinking about their safety.
Of course. And, the media did a fabulous job at decontextualizing the Neighborhood Watch organization in Zimmerman's neighborhood. If there hadn't been a pattern of black burglaries and a sense that the neighborhood was kind of on the precipice of falling into a real downward spiral of crime and disorder, Zimmerman wouldn't have been out there, and he wouldn't have been looking at Trayvon Martin as a possible burglar. That is the absolutely most important prior fact that one needs to know about this. And so I willingly concede that if you're innocent of any crime and you're a law-abiding citizen and you are regarded with suspicion, I disagree with Obama when he says that it is often that black men in elevators elicit sheer terror in the women in the elevators with them. I think that's absurd. I don't believe that is a frequent response at this point in our society. But if you have been in a neighborhood that has been experiencing a pattern of black crime, the solution to that and to the solution to the insult and humiliation of feeling like you are regarded with a heightened degree of suspicion is to bring down the black crime rate. Let's have an experiment for 5 years. If blacks could bring down their crime rate to that of whites and Asians, and everybody knows that, then let's see if there's any type of double checking going on, or people that do respond with a heightened degree of awareness to young black kids. At that point, I'm willing to say that we are a racist society. At this point, though, it is much more plausible to me that people are simply responding rationally to what the undeniable facts are. And that is, again, not only are blacks victimized at 10 times the rate, but black males between the ages of 14 and 24 commit homicide at 10 times the rate of whites and Hispanics combined.
Yeah, it is unbelievable, and it's a sad, sad fact. And one more thing before I let you go, Heather, and you've been generous with your time. This racial profiling, this whole profiling which has become a dirty word to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong because you've been writing about this stuff forever. It all started on the New Jersey Turnpike with that case. Christy Whitman was governor. The whole thing, the New Jersey state troopers, a couple of bad apples, stopped black people, and they called that racial profiling when in fact they stopped them for no reason and just harassed them. I call it harassment, illegal harassment. But the Al Sharpton and the media has turned profiling into racial profiling, and racial profiling into something hideous and racist, when in fact racial profiling is just another kind of the profiling cops and you and I do every single day of our lives.
Right. Well, I think that the cops have maybe a higher burden to really be looking at behavior, but a defense attorney that works for the cops once said to me, in response to the big incident in New York where Sean Bell was shot, outside of a nightclub in Jamaica, Queens, when the SUV he was riding in started to back up into a bunch of undercover detectives. They'd been looking into a bar that had a long history of drugs and prostitution.
Right, it was the
been
night
told that-
before his wedding at 3 in the morning or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And somebody said there'd been a gun, and there'd been reports of a gun in the bar.
Right.
And Bell turned out not to be armed, and the cop who shot him was black. And the defense attorney said, if we stipulate that it probably is the case that New York City officers have that a trigger, a split-second faster fear response, and sense that they may be under threat when faced with young black males in crime-ridden neighborhoods, if we concede that, can we get a parallel concession that the reason they have that reaction is because the crime rates are so disproportionate? And in New York City, blacks commit 80% of all shootings, though they're 23% of the population, and 98% of all shootings in New York are committed by blacks and Hispanics. Whites commit between 1% and 2% of all shootings. That's the facts, and that is going to affect how police respond to different groups when they are in high crime neighborhoods and there's reports of a gun.
Absolutely. Heather, pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye. Heather McDonald, ladies and gentlemen, Manhattan Institute, and also she is a contributing editor at City Journal. All right, when we come back, I can't believe we're heading to the top of hour number 2. By the way, at the top of the next hour, we'll be joined by Caroline Glick. Caroline Glick, and you could check her out at carolineglick.com. But she is the deputy managing editor of the Jerusalem Post, and also she happens to be the senior fellow on Middle East Affairs for the Center for Security Policy. All straight ahead on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts. And some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com. We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, you know, folks, welcome back. Great chatting with Heather McDonald. She is so on target, and you know, these statistics are so incredibly telling. And you know, I just go back to Jesse Jackson. I mean, here's a guy that goes on TV and talks and you know, forget the fact that they never, you know, talk about what he said that was divisive in the past with Hymietown. Forget the fact, you know, that they give people like Al Sharpton a pass on Greek homos and Jewish diamond merchants and anything else he said, and Tawana Brawley and Freddie's white interloper and the whole thing. But Jackson said that, like I said, that when he walks down the street, dark street at night, if he hears noise behind him and he turns around and the people are white, the guys are white, he takes a sigh of relief. So does that make Jesse Jackson a racist? Does Jesse Jackson profile? I mean, if I said that, or if George Zimmerman had said that, or somebody, you'd call him a racist, a bigot, and a profiler. But you're not. You're just being smart as a smart consumer, if you will, smart in your own protection with these outrageous statistics that Heather cited. Now, you know about Bush derangement syndrome. I think we've documented that pretty well over the course of time, where they can't let go of Bush. The media, the left, everything is still Bush's fault, right? Well, now there's Zimmerman derangement syndrome, and I think I'm the first to coin that one. So write it down. 4:54 Eastern Time on Thursday, July 25th, I think. Zimmerman derangement syndrome. When George Zimmerman, when it was revealed almost a week after the fact that he rescued a family from an SUV, the media, maybe it really didn't happen. How do we know? What, is this guy nuts? He calls 911 for everything? You think I'm making it up? Let's go to Bill Press, radical left-wing talk show host, and this is cut number 35.
We have organized lobbyists.
No, that can't be it. That's Helen Thomas, which would be 30, according to what I have, 33, 30, I don't even know. 35? No? Let's try one more time. What do we got? Okay. Okay, well, shouldn't be. Do we have Bill Press anywhere talking about Zimmerman? My whole segment. Yeah, we do? Okay, go ahead. Hit it. No, that's Lee. This would be the one after Lee. So it was Helen Thomas, and my thing is 33, 34. So after Lee, there should be Bill Press. Let's try that one.
But secondly, all right, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this. Do you really think this happened?
No.
All right, you're the one in trouble.
Yeah, I don't think so. It stinks to high heaven.
Where are the pictures or video?
Yeah.
One of the things I think that's been most frustrating after the verdict is this effort to rehabilitate his image.
Okay, so that's Bill Press and Peter Ogburn. And I don't know, and Igor Volsky, a guest, a producer, I don't know. Oh, so here's cut number. Well, that was the 36. How about the one before that? All right, let's just take my word for it, ladies and gentlemen. Take my word for it. Bill Press, Stephanie Miller. They everything became a joke. It really didn't happen. Is this guy going to call 911? So, in other words, first of all, Zimmerman did not call 911 for this overturned overturned SUV. He saw it overturned on the road. But if he had seen it, he should not call 911? I mean, this is almost comical if it weren't so sad. It is truly Zimmerman derangement syndrome. I really believe that. And they're going to hound this guy and hound this guy and hound this guy and never leave him alone. Never leave him alone. Okay, when we come back, we're going to be joined, as I mentioned, by Caroline Glick. And I want to talk to Caroline Glick about these Middle East talks between the Israelis and Palestinians, which are supposed to start, I don't know, next week after? I don't even know. And it seems to me like John Kerry, Secretary of State, went to the Palestinians and said, okay, we'll start the talks, and here's what Israel's willing to start with, and went to the Israelis and said, okay, we'll start the talks, and here's what the Palestinians are willing to start with, and lied to both of them. That's what it appears to me happened, because since they, quote-unquote, agreed to the talks, they're both saying, well, we didn't agree to that, and we didn't agree to that. So we'll talk to Caroline about that. We're also going to take a look at the latest trouble that A-Rod, or as some call him A-Royd, is in, and might have violated the basic agreement on something else. We'll talk about it on the Steve Malzberg Show.
Oh, this just in. Apparently, George Zimmerman saved baby Jessica from the well.
Oh, good. The
That
Steve
either.
Malzberg
Young black men often
Show.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm Kathleen Walter. Attorney General Eric Holder today announced the Department of Justice is opening a new front in the voting rights battle after the Supreme Court recently struck down the Voting Rights Act. In a speech before the Urban League in Philadelphia, the Attorney General said the Justice Department is asking a federal court in San Antonio to require the state of Texas to obtain approval in advance before putting future voting changes in place.
Today, I am announcing that the Justice Department will ask a federal court in Texas to subject the state of Texas to a pre-clearance regime similar to the one required by Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act.
It is expected that justice will also target North Carolina, where the state Senate last night passed legislation requiring voter ID at polling places and cut some early voting days. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell taking to the Senate floor this morning to lambaste President Obama for his economic speech on Wednesday. In a lengthy hour-long address, the president laid out his long-term economic vision for the nation. Republicans today are blasting the speech, claiming it's just more of the big government tax and spend policies that have failed to work.
It restores transparency to the election process, creates clear guidelines that everyone can understand, follow.
Pundits say the president's speech was a setup to the anticipated budget showdown this fall, when the House is expected to clash with the White House and the Democratic-led Senate over raising the U.S. borrowing authority. Two separate official investigations have been launched into the cause of Wednesday's deadly train derailment in Spain. Now considered one of Europe's worst rail disasters, the tragedy was caught on video. At least 78 people died and 140 others were hurt when the train leapt off the tracks at high speed and derailed in the northern Spanish region of Galicia. Pope Francis continues his first trip home to his native Latin America since becoming Pope. As many as 1 million young Roman Catholics gathered to hear the pontiff celebrate Mass in Rio de Janeiro's Copacabana beach Thursday. 4 Brazilian Navy ships guarded the beach where the service was held. The Pope's visit coincides with week-long events celebrating World Youth Day. Next on Newsmax Now, as Democrats claim Republicans wage war on women, one lawmaker is calling on Democrats to rebuke Anthony Weiner, her stern condemnation of the New York City mayoral candidate, in a Newsmax exclusive next. And former President George W. Bush's show of solidarity, why he made the bold move of going bald. That story coming up.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
Welcome back. In a Newsmax exclusive, Representative Diane Black, Republican from Tennessee, says Democrats should condemn the behavior of New York City mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner.
I believe that behavior should be condemned. And we condemn it when it happens on our side of the aisle. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. When you put your name on the ballot and you're a public official, you're held to a high standard.
And finally, former President George H.W. Bush, who has been known in recent months for his creative socks, is now sporting a new hairdo. President Bush, who is 89, shaved his head in a show of solidarity with a 2-year-old boy who lost his hair from leukemia treatments. And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for Thursday, July 25th. I'm Kathleen Walter. Now, here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. It was announced about a week or so ago that John Kerry had used shuttle diplomacy and had gotten the two sides in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict back to the so-called peace talks. I call them the PIECE talks because they're all about dismantling Israel, PIECE by PIECE. I believe I coined that, and no one has used it since, which might tell you something about the quality of it. Anyway, but when will these talks be held? What could we expect? Why are they taking place? Why would Netanyahu consent to this? Joining us now is Senior Fellow for Middle Eastern Affairs at the Center for Security Policy, Deputy Managing Editor, Jerusalem Post, our friend Caroline Glick. Hey, Caroline.
Hi, Steve. Great to be on your show again.
Well, thank you very much. The pleasure is mine. Okay, so what is the status of these talks? I mean, after they were announced, then I heard from the Palestinian side that the precondition was 67 borders as a starting point, and from the Israeli side, no precondition. So, was Kerry going around telling two sides two different things to try to get this to happen?
You know, it's possible, but I think that mainly, the United States has been sending each side notes, in study hall saying to the Palestinians, well, we agree with you that the talks should be based upon the 1949 armistice lines, and they've been telling the Israelis, we agree with you that Israel is a Jewish state and that the Palestinians have to recognize it. So the United States has sort of tried to play both ends, and in the end, what happened was that Kerry, like you said, announced the negotiations had been agreed upon and that they were going to start it, and the Palestinians said, no, we agreed that we talk about negotiating. We're not actually going to be negotiating. So right now there are supposed to be Israeli and Palestinian representatives arriving in Washington, D.C. next week, but it's not clear that the Palestinians are going to show up, and it's not clear whether, if they do in fact show up, they're going to have any meetings with the Israelis, or if they do have meetings with the Israelis, that these are going to be talks about anything other than the size of the table.
Why now, do you think, no matter what the talks are, if they actually do sit down, or even if they don't, why this push now after, 3-4 years of nothing?
5. I actually think that more important than after 4 or 5 years of nothing is why now, when Israel is the only country in the entire region that's at peace, is the U.S. Secretary of State putting all of his energies into getting peace negotiations started when the legacy of these negotiations has been destabilization and terrorist war. In Syria, The country is embroiled in a horrible civil war that's turning into a Sunni Shiite war that's sucking in Lebanon and Iraq and is having reverberations throughout the Persian Gulf and the Middle East in general. In Egypt, we've just seen the second revolution in so many years, and the Egyptians themselves are moving into a state of civil war. So, why on earth the Americans at this time are putting massive pressure on Israel to make huge concessions to Palestinians who themselves are carrying out a diplomatic and terrorist war against Israel and trying to destabilize the situation still more, is really the big mystery and the most disconcerting aspect of this entire situation.
Yeah, I would say. I read where Bibi has said that. I mean, look, in the unlikely eventuality that there is some kind of deal reached, which I don't ever see happening, and I think that compared to the alternative, that's a good thing for Israel. But he said he would put any peace initiative to a referendum. Is that what he was talking about? A possible deal, or just the concept of proposals? What would he put to a referendum, and how do you think the public would vote?
I think he was talking about a deal, and today, the public is being polled 65% oppose negotiations to 28% that support them, and that's just negotiations. I mean, the truth of the matter is that, like you said, there's no chance of a deal being reached because the Palestinians themselves are so radicalized. They have been indoctrinated now for 20 years since the PLO set up its regime in Judea and Samaria and Gaza to look at Jews the way that the Nazis did, just as non-humans, as subhumans who should be annihilated. And for them, the idea of even negotiating with Jews is completely unacceptable. And any Palestinian leader that would reach an agreement with Israelis would be killed. So there's no chance whatsoever, and that's even disregarding the rise of incredibly radical forces throughout the surrounding Arab countries. So, there's absolutely no chance of a deal ever being reached. And the deal that the United States is pushing for is a deal that, if it was ever concluded, would make Israel into a totally indefensible country and a strategiglic basket case in a region that is no longer friendly to the United States except in Israel.
Absolutely. We're talking to Caroline Glick. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking to Caroline Glick, Senior Fellow, Middle Eastern Affairs for the Center for Security Policy and Deputy Managing Editor of the Jerusalem Post. Also was a one-time advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu. Here on the Steve Malzberg Show, let me just ask you about a couple of other countries in the region, and maybe surprisingly to you, start out with Turkey. This whole phone call that Netanyahu made to the Prime Minister of Turkey, basically apologizing and agreeing to reparations for the incident that took place a few years back, where Israel boarded a ship that was headed to Gaza and terrorists were killed. John Kerry even equating that to Americans' loss of life at the Boston Marathon, which was nauseating. But that's gone nowhere, really. And there's a piece in the Jerusalem Post today that most people thought it was the amount of compensation that was at question. But apparently the Prime Minister wants Netanyahu to do even more, mea culpa, to admit, that it was absolutely wrong what they did, et cetera, et cetera. Typical Israeli, I want to say Arab or counterpart fashion. Israel gives, and then the other side says, well, that's not enough.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, the Mavi Marmara was a terrorist ship, and the people on board were from a Turkish organization, the IHH, that is affiliated with Al-Qaeda, and it was sponsored by the Turkish government. So this was an incident of Turkish state-sponsored terrorism against Israel. It was unlawful under international law because their stated goal was to provide aid and comfort to an illegal terrorist organization, Hamas, which illegally seized control of Gaza in 2007. And Israel's maritime blockade of the Gaza coastline is completely in conformance with international law. So Israel was behaving in a manner that was in total conformance with international law, and Turkey behaved in a manner that was a complete breach of international law. And the one major accomplishment that President Obama achieved during his visit to Israel was that he coerced Prime Minister Netanyahu into calling Turkish Prime Minister Recep Erdogan in a three-way conversation with Obama on the line and forced Netanyahu to apologize for what Israel did to the Turks. And so what the Turks are now saying is that it's not enough that Israel apologized. Israel also has to accept criminal culpability for what its armed forces did. And this is obscene, and it's very dangerous. What Obama did set a very dangerous precedent for forcing Israel to apologize for lawful operations by its military taken in defense of Israel and against illegal armed forces aboard a terrorist-supporting ship. So the whole thing is far more serious than just why is Israel being forced to concede again when it didn't do anything wrong, because this was an American action. That Obama personally forced Israel to make this apology, and now we're seeing the consequences of it, the bitter consequences and the dangerous consequences of it. Remember that Turkey is a member of NATO.
Right. Do you sometimes wonder, as I do, just what Obama has on certain people? I'm not only saying foreign leaders, but and in reference here to Netanyahu, but I mean even Republicans in the Congress, what he might have. If we know about NSA, we know about all that kind of stuff. I mean, I wonder if real life politics is, you do this or somehow it's going to leak out, blah, 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 blah. Does that ever enter your mind?
What really enters my mind is deep worry and concern over what the U.S. foreign policy, particularly in the Middle East, has shaped up to be over the past 5 years. And the United States, in opposition to its own national security interests, its morals, its values, has been abandoning its allies one by one and embracing the cause of their enemies, while saying that they are doing it in support of peace and stability, two goals that these kinds of actions are just distancing from reach.
Okay, one more. Egypt. How do you view what's going on there and what might happen there?
Egypt is very disconcerting because right now they're on a very sort of mundane level, it looks promising because the military overthrew a Muslim Brotherhood government. And the Muslim Brotherhood is a jihadist movement that calls for the annihilation of the Jews, the destruction of Western civilization, the destruction of the United States, and the formation of a global caliphate. It spawned Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and a host of other jihadist organizations throughout the Sunni Islamic world. So it's a very dangerous group, and it was just overthrown by the military, which does not share its globalist aspirations, although it's also quite anti-Western and anti-democratic and certainly anti-Semitic. And so neither of the factions are particularly positive actors. The thing that's very disturbing is that Egypt is so unstable. It has no money to buy food, and it's the largest wheat importer in the world. It doesn't have enough wheat to feed its own people. And you're going to see mass starvation, which in and of itself is destabilizing. And right now we see that country spinning into a civil war, which is extremely dangerous. And I'm not exactly sure how it would be possible to even avert it at this point, because the military sided with half of the population of Egypt against the other half of the population of Egypt. And, insofar as Israel is concerned, we see the escalating violence in the Sinai Peninsula across the border from Israel. And, it's only a matter of time, we assume, before those attacks inside of the Sinai begin targeting Israeli targets again, and perhaps on a massive level, and that, in turn, if the Egyptian military isn't able to contain the violence, could force Israel to retaliate, and that retaliation could spur a conventional war between Egypt and Israel. So it's very, very dangerous.
All right, Caroline, I appreciate your time as always, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Caroline Glick, ladies and gentlemen, Senior Fellow Middle Eastern Affairs for Center for Security Policy and Deputy Managing Editor of the Jerusalem Post, former advisor to Bibi Netanyahu. All right, folks, we are going to continue with more. You're listening to or watching, in this case, if you're at Newsmax.com, to the Thursday edition of the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com, Aftershock2013.com.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. A very interesting conversation with Caroline Glick. And just as a footnote or a follow-up, if you will, to what we were talking about, here's a story from FoxNews.com. Just as hopes emerge for new Israeli-Palestinian peace talks, the official Facebook page of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Fatah's political party, is lauding a a convicted terrorist for killing 61 quote-unquote Zionists in a series of attacks. The two sides' perceptions of Abdallah Barghouti. Abdallah Barghouti is one of the most notorious killers of Jews. And let's see, mastermind behind the infamous 2001 Sparrows attack, Sparrows Pizza in Israel, and 4 other suicide bombings. Arrested in 2003, Barghouti is serving 67 life terms in solitary confinement in an Israeli prison. But to the party that rules the West Bank and the people in charge of the Palestinian Authority and the man that Israel's supposed to sit down with, he's a hero. He's a hero. And I don't mean a hero on a roll with mayo and mustard or whatever. The brave pioneer, the brave prisoner, Abdallah Barghouti, who has the longest prison sentence in the history of the Palestinian cause, reads the Facebook page. First reported by Media Watch, Palestinian Media Watch. They say that the bombings were self-sacrificing activity and martyrdom-seeking operations. And these are the people that Israel's supposed to sit down with across the table and give land to and sign agreements with. A culture, a people that celebrate a cold-blooded murder of civilians sitting in a pizza place. So I don't know what else to tell you. Hey, it's me again. Okay. Anyway, and now I'm watching this Sydney Leathers, the one that was having the hot texting affair and cyber sex apparently with Weiner, Anthony Weiner. She's now on one of the shows tonight, the Inside Edition, and she did an interview, and she's outraged by Anthony Weiner. Give me a break. She is, to me, she's the female version of Anthony Weiner. But here's the thing. I just watched the whole interview with the guy from Inside Edition on CNN who did, Jim Moret, who did the interview. I didn't hear it mentioned once that according to the reports I'm seeing, she's a liberal activist, okay? She is a former, let's see, I'll get it right here, Obama organizer, okay? An Obama organizer. I want to get that correct here. Here is the deceptive. Okay. Anyway, I can't find what it says about Obama organizer, liberal activist, and what else does it say here about about her? She's signed many liberal petitions. She signed a petition apparently that says that in 2011 that condemns Sarah Palin for inciting violence. So here's a woman who signed a petition, allegedly, reportedly, condemning Sarah Palin for inciting violence. And the media doesn't tell you any of this. They're presenting her as just some woman that Weiner found. That Weiner found. All right. When we come back, another heartwarming story. We had one yesterday at this time. We're going to do it again. Make sure you're listening to the Steve Malzberg Show.
Steve Malzberg Show.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th birthday commemorative edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday at this time in the Steve Malzberg Show, third hour, halfway through the third hour, we spoke to a man who was a star lineman at Ball State back in the early 90s and had plans to go on to play in the NFL, and it didn't quite work out. And he talked about how he got over his depression and he turned his life around and never looked back and lost tons of weight and has a wonderful family and found religion and faith to get him through it, and it was just a very uplifting story. Now we turn our attention today to a gentleman who spent, 35 years healing people, but not just your typical doctor. Our next guest, Dr. Ismael Nuno, he wanted to be a heart surgeon since he was a kid. And he became one of the nation's most prominent heart surgeons. And, you know, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Sometimes you're successful and hopefully more times than not. But there are those times when you're not. And how do you deal with that as a surgeon? How do you deal with the families and live your life after that? It's all interesting, and it's all in this great book called The Spirit of the Heart, Stories of Family, Hope, Loss, and Healing by the aforementioned Dr. Ismael Nuno. Hey, doctor, how are you?
Steve, thank you very much for having me on your program. And I was just listening to your introduction, as from the inspiring story of the previous gentleman that you spoke about. And there is some similarity with what a heart surgeon does. You know, you get up in the morning, you take your shower, and you're gonna hopefully go out there and not have a swing and a miss. You know,
Yeah.
And so.
Or in the case of a football player, a fumble.
A fumble, exactly. Yeah. I lost my daughter at the age of 18, and that made me take a look at my own life also, and to take a look at the patients that I had lost and the patients that I had saved. You know, the ones that I pulled out of the jaws of defeat, and you take a look at life very differently, including death. You actually accept it as a quiet, silent type of respect that you have for those that have died. And what you want to know is that every morning when you get up and you go out and do these surgeries, that there was nobody else in the country that could have done a better job than you did. And if the patient survived, it's great. It's one of the things that you got him through. If the patient did not survive, you know, it was one of those situations where you actually did what you could have done for the patient, and it just was not meant to be. So I came up with 41 chapters, short stories that you can read over a couple of minutes each, and hopefully it'll bring people some understanding of those who are going to face open heart surgery, those that have had it, those that have had a loss of a loved one. And so I want to take you to the point where you actually are not afraid of it, are not afraid of death, but it's one of those aspects of life that we all have to face.
Well, let me be a little specific. And first of all, we're so sorry for the loss of your daughter. I mean, anybody, it's unnatural. We all know the correct things to say. But as a doctor, when you lose a child, and we should point out that because it's in the book, you lost your lovely daughter to anorexia, and that's I guess, as maybe I should ask the question, does it make it more difficult to accept and deal with, knowing that even though you're not a physician trained in that aspect of illness, nonetheless, you are a doctor, and this was something that, she did, and maybe you felt that after the fact or during the fact that you could have tried to stop or couldn't stop or felt bad about not stopping because of your medical training? Did that add to the mourning of it?
Absolutely. I was trained by my professors to get in, fix it, and get out. And that's the mentality that I had throughout my life. And here comes a situation, my daughter, I find her in her own bathroom. She was down. I gave her CPR. I called the paramedics. I tried to resuscitate her. And the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my life was to stop at that moment and say, I can't help her anymore, and you let her go. And it certainly changes your perception of life. You take a look at somebody who's happy about any incident, and you take it differently, and you say, I am mourning. And because of that, you actually do change how you help other people. So from that moment on, I was able to take my patients, see their death differently. I would bring their families in, have them touch them, tell them that they love them. It was a very caring type of a mourning, if you will, but it did change me a lot.
All right, we're talking to Dr. Ismael Nuno, the author of The Spirit of the Heart. Interesting, you were trained at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, Chief Cardiac Surgery and Chief of Staff President-elect of the Medical Association at Los Angeles County and USC Medical Center, Assistant Professor of Clinical Cardiothoracic Surgery at the Keck School of Medicine, and you're now living in Del Rey. So, I mean, you've been through all the wonderful institutions and the highest levels. So tell me, first of all, let's start at the beginning for a second before we get to more of how you related to your patients and how you dealt with for lack of a better word, failure in certain situations from your surgeries. What made you want to be a heart surgeon at such a young age? I mean, I can see you said you want to be a football player, a baseball player, even a teacher, a fireman, whatever, policeman. But to say, hey, I want to be a heart surgeon. What did you have that in your family or what?
Yes, my dad was a surgeon, and he would come home from work, put me in his lap, and teach me how to tie surgical knots.
There you go.
I knew how to tie those knots before I even knew how to tie my shoelaces. You know, thank God for Velcro, but at that time it wasn't around. But he taught me that. He told me that in the future, to be a surgeon that could change the progress of medicine was to be a heart surgeon. So everything I did in my life was to get my ticket punched. You know, my residency in surgery, my training, all my training was just to become a heart surgeon. And once I became a heart surgeon, it was full locomotive until I finally stopped. I stopped because of my own health. I'm diabetic. You know, I'm Mexican and diabetic. What a big surprise, you know.
Is that, well, I assume that's a fairly high rate
Very
among
high
Mexicans.
Rate, yeah.
Well,
Almost 100% of my patients.
And what is that attributable to, as a sidebar here?
A lot of it is genetic. A lot of it is the environmental, you know, the fast food, the cultural foods that we eat are very high. For example, the guacamole that everybody loves, it's the avocado is very high in cholesterol and very high in calories. You know, so you keep on eating gallons of that, and that's what you look like.
Sure. I thought that the avocado had quote unquote good fat, like nuts and all, and not much of the saturated fat.
It has oils, but it also has high cholesterol.
It does. Okay, good to know.
It'll kill you.
Good to know. All right, so let me go back to the more serious things. So you operate. First of all, what percentage does the average, let's say, heart surgery? And if someone comes in for heart surgery, or throughout your career, throughout the career of a typical heart surgeon, what percentage is usually successful? I guess it varies based on severity of cases, but what is an average heart surgeon? You know, is it success 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times?
Yeah, you're very close. It's 97 to 99%.
Well, that's pretty darn good. Okay, so then so when you have to deal on those rare occasions over the course of over 30 years with death. How do you prepare the family, and do you prepare the family going in to the surgery, because there's that risk? Obviously, it's open heart surgery,
right?
And you know, and then once it's over, if the worst happens, what do you do? Is the family usually prepared for the worst?
Yeah, we have changed dramatically the course of events in heart surgery over, at least during my career. And everybody that came in, it used to say, the cardiologist would send a patient to you and say, if you don't operate on this patient, he's certainly going to die. So give it a shot and see if you can get him through. But because of logistics and statistics throughout the country and third payers and, you know, the insurances, if you have a bad batting average, they're not going to pay you. They're not going to allow you to see patients. So because of that, you have to take the better success of the patients that are coming in. So the philosophy of surgery has changed. We no longer take, well, we'll give you a chance. If you have a chance and if we can fix it, we'll operate on you.
That's it. That's interesting. All right. So, Doctor, what advice would you give in closing here to I don't know, to people on both sides of it in dealing with death, whether it's someone in the medical profession who loses a patient, and I suppose someone who, and we're all going to go through it, or we all have gone through it, or we all are going through it, who loses a loved one. How should both sides of the equation in the doctor-patient relationship, the family and the doctor look at death?
Love your loved ones as much as you can. That's all you can do.
That's very simple. That's very simple and very profound. Doctor, good luck with the book. I assume it's available all over the place?
Yes, it is. It's available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble, and you can get it in the Kindle and Nook as well.
Okay, the book is The Spirit of the Heart, Stories of Family, Hope, Loss, and Healing by Ismael Nuno, Dr. Ismael Nuno. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Steve.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And, I as much as a hypochondriac as I am, as you all know, I've never really thought about, what the doctor goes through, and if the doctor loses a patient, or if something goes wrong, and and someone becomes permanently disabled or whatever. So I'm talking aside from the insurance implications and lawsuit implications. I'm just talking about how the doctor goes forward, because it certainly has to be very traumatic. Obviously for a doctor, and then he has to deal with the family of the person as well, and I would imagine that lingers. Certainly does linger. Okay, some loose ends, some stories we did not have a chance to get to so far today. We will get to them when we come back. Tomorrow we got a big show. We got Ambassador John Bolton. We have we have Noel Shepard. Noel Shepard, Malzberg's Media Madness. Kendall Coffey will move Spinning the Law. He's been gone for a couple of weeks with the case. He'll come back tomorrow. So Noel Shepard, Malzberg's Media Madness, Spinning the Law with Kendall Coffey. Victoria Jackson. No relation to Phil Action Jackson, former Knick, and, of course, Hall of Fame Chicago Bulls coach, legendary coach. She will be here. Remember her from Saturday Night Live and all that? She's a big, proud conservative. In fact, she's got a new book and a little song we'll play for you called There's a Communist Living in the White House. So big show tomorrow, so make sure you join us. But we'll be back for the final segment today right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male, because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS, or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now.
800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
Yeah, you know what we do every day on this show? Oh, could you bring up the my little toy here? Here we go. Take two. You know what we do every day on this show?
Whoop ass.
Yeah. What do we do every day on this show?
Whoop ass.
That's right, and don't you forget it. By the way, if you don't buy into that, there's something wrong with you. You're culturally out of it and racist to boot. Anyway, okay, so here's a few things going on that you might be interested in. Alex Rodriguez, according to published reports, facing suspensions, either banned for life or 100 games or 200 games. According to other reports, he's going to fight it. But here's a new little wrinkle thrown into the ongoing saga of A-Rod, or as some call him, A-Royd. The Yankees have taken issue with the way A-Rod has sought out a second opinion in for his injured quad. There was a story that surfaced that is now linked the doctor that A-Rod saw without reportedly telling the team, as he's supposed to do under the basic agreement. And now this doctor has been linked to steroids. I think the guy's in Hackensack or something. Yankee General Manager Brian Cashman issued a statement late in the day yesterday, providing a view that Rodriguez's strained quads, which derailed his planned return to the majors. The statement said, in the statement, Cashman accused Rodriguez of being dishonest with the team and even violating MLB's collective bargaining agreement. So they're ticked at him. The Yankees want him out. The Yankees have to pay him $25 million a year for the next many years, and they want him out. They want him suspended. They want to have to not pay him another penny because, according to the evidence that reportedly Major League Baseball has, they got the goods on him. I've heard reports, again, I don't know what's true. I've heard reports saying that not only, did he use these steroids at that clinic in Florida or get these, when I say steroids, I don't know, growth hormones, whatever, from the clinic in Florida, but that he got other players involved. He tried to, reportedly, get evidence destroyed or have people, or tried to obstruct evidence, etc. So supposedly, A-Rod is in it, up to here, and I'm holding my hands right up to my chinny chin chin. So the Yankees don't want to pay him another dime. So now when they could say that he violated the collective bargaining agreement by seeing this doctor about his newest injury, and then if it's true that this doctor turns out to have steroid connections, I mean, does he have a brain? Does he have a brain? And I don't even know the answer to that question anymore with A-Rod. All right, couple of other things here, ladies and gentlemen. And let me pull out. No. This has nothing to do with with Weiner. Just because I said, let me pull out. Thank you very much. Phil Mickelson, lefty. Just less than a week ago, we all witnessed the lefty with an amazing fourth-round comeback, 5 strokes down, entering the field of play. And lefty birdieing 4 of the final 6 holes to emerge victorious and win his first British Open. Howard Cosell reporting. Anyway, how could you not love Phil Mickelson? I mean, after all, he does those commercials for those arthritis pills. Don't you love it? If you take those pills for your rheumatoid arthritis, you may die. You may get infection. You may have internal bleeding. You may get herpes. You may get HIV. You may have no immune system left. You may do this. You may do that. Don't drive. Don't drink. Don't do this. Don't walk around alone. But it's going to make your joints feel better. Anyway, true. It's true. 2 minutes, right? Yeah, that's what it did. I just got my 2-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, thanks to his recent wins at both the British Open and the Scottish Open, Phil Mickelson pocketed about $2.16 million in 2 weeks. That's almost what I make here. The world's top golfer, who came under fire earlier this year when he said that, he complained about the 60% tax rate as a California resident. Remember that? And then he had to take it back when Tiger Woods said, I got the heck out of California because of the tax rate. That's why I live in Florida. No state income tax, lower tax rates. Anyway, according to Forbes, Mickelson has been subjected to the United Kingdom's 45% tax rate for those who make more than 150 pounds a year. In addition, the magazine reports he will be taxed on a portion of the endorsement income he earned during his time in Scotland. So they're saying that Phil Mickelson faces about 61% in taxes because on top of it all, he still has to pay self-employment taxes, the new Medicare surtax, and hand over 13.3% of his wages to the state of California, which does not have a foreign tax credit, according to Forbes. So we're talking 61% of what he earned gone in a flash, in a blink. And that wouldn't satisfy some people. Why does he deserve any of it? He's rich. He doesn't need it. Anyway, all right, it's been quite a show. It's been quite a day. Will Weiner be in there tomorrow, or will he be out by then? Did I just say will he be in or will he be out? I can't help myself. That's what he said.